Ever since the towering glass doors of the Kingsley penthouse had closed behind her, Elena Reyes felt the same cold distance everyone felt when stepping into the world of Adrian Kingsley, a billionaire business tycoon known for his brilliance, his impenetrable discipline, and the heartbreaking tragedy that had swallowed his once warm family whole, leaving only shadows and silence behind. But the heaviest silence of all came from little Amelia, his 5-year-old daughter, a beautiful child with big brown eyes and golden hair who had not spoken a single word since the night her mother passed away in a tragic Christmas Eve accident 2 years ago, an event that shattered Adrian, froze his heart, and left the little girl mute from trauma. So when Elena applied for the nanny position, she never imagined she was walking into a home filled with expensive art, sparkling chandeliers, untouched luxury toys, and more loneliness than she had ever witnessed in her life. Amelia would sit for hours, staring at the large windows, watching snowflakes fall through the night, clutching a worn-out stuffed reindeer her mother had given her on her last Christmas, and no matter how many therapists, doctors, or specialists Adrian hired, no one could get a single word out of her, until Elena arrived, carrying nothing but kindness, patience, and a quiet courage even she didn't know she possessed. Adrian's staff whispered that no nanny ever lasted more than a week because Adrian was strict, demanding, and emotionally shut down, so when he introduced himself to Elena on that first day, distant eyes, crisp suit, a voice stripped of warmth, she understood immediately why people were intimidated by him, but she also sensed something deeper. A man desperately trying to hold himself together for the sake of a daughter he adored but didn't know how to reach anymore, and from that very first meeting, Elena promised herself she would try, not for the paycheck or the reputation but for Amelia, whose silence felt like a cry no one else had been able to hear. Days passed into weeks, and Elena gently built a bond with the little girl, never forcing her to speak, never pushing too hard, simply being there, braiding her hair, reading her bedtime stories, sitting beside her when the nightmares came, and learning that Amelia didn't fear the world, she feared losing someone again. Amelia would often tug Elena's sleeve whenever she felt overwhelmed, wanting only to be held, and though she never spoke, her eyes communicated things even adults struggled to say: fear, longing, confusion, and an ocean of sadness someone so small should never have carried. Meanwhile, Adrian watched quietly from the background, unsure how to feel about this new nanny who somehow succeeded where everyone else failed. She made Amelia smile, small smiles, rare smiles, fragile smiles, but smiles nonetheless, and Adrian found himself drawn to those moments, even standing in the hallway late at night just to hear the faint sound of Amelia's giggle when Elena played silly puppet games with her. Slowly, something thawed inside him, something he had buried with his wife, but still he kept his distance, convinced that happiness was a luxury he wasn't allowed anymore. As Christmas approached, the anniversary of the tragedy, Adrian became increasingly tense, and the mansion grew colder despite the decorations Elena lovingly put up to make Amelia feel safe and festive, yet the girl only clung to her little reindeer doll tighter, refusing to go anywhere near the grand Christmas tree Adrian had installed, as if the lights and ornaments reminded her of something she didn't want to remember. On the morning of Christmas Eve, Adrian announced he had an important business gala to attend, pretending it didn't bother him to leave his daughter behind, but his voice cracked ever so slightly when he told Elena he wouldn't be long. Still, Elena knew the truth. Every Christmas Eve, Adrian isolated himself, drowning in work to escape his grief, but this year, something was about to change, something no one expected. As snow fell heavier that night, the city shimmering beneath the penthouse windows, Amelia suddenly grew restless, her tiny hands trembling as she tugged Elena toward the balcony where she had last seen her mother 2 years ago, and Elena, heart-pounding, picked her up and wrapped her in a blanket, whispering, "It's okay, sweetheart. I'm right here." But Amelia shook her head, eyes filling with tears, pointing toward the sky as if searching for someone she desperately missed, and Elena felt her own eyes burn as she realized the child was reliving the memory of the night her world shattered. Knowing Amelia needed comfort more than anything, Elena gently carried her inside, picked up a small music box that once belonged to Amelia's mother, and wound it up. The soft lullaby filled the room like a warm, familiar heartbeat, and as it played, Elena sat on the floor with Amelia nestled in her lap, whispering stories of hope, of healing, of angels who never truly leave, slowly rocking the trembling girl until she finally calmed, and then something extraordinary happened. Amelia pointed toward the Christmas tree for the first time in 2 years. Elena took her hand and together they approached the tree glowing softly in the dim room, and Amelia reached out to touch an ornament shaped like a star, the very same ornament her mother used to hang every year, and as her tiny fingers brushed it, she whispered a sound, a broken, breathy sound, but a sound nonetheless, and Elena's heart nearly stopped because it meant Amelia wanted to speak but didn't know how. "Take your time, sweet girl," Elena whispered gently, tears spilling down her cheeks as she held Amelia close, and for several minutes, the child simply breathed against her shoulder, gathering strength. Meanwhile, Adrian arrived home earlier than usual, something pulling him back, a quiet fear he couldn't name, and when he entered the penthouse, he heard a sound he hadn't heard in years, not a voice, not yet, but soft breaths that sounded like a child learning to trust again, and as he stepped into the living room, he froze at the sight of Elena holding Amelia beneath the Christmas tree, the delicate music box melody floating around them, and he felt something inside him break open, something long buried. Then, in one miraculous moment, Amelia lifted her head, looked at Elena through wet lashes, then turned toward her father standing at a distance, and with a trembling voice, weak, fragile, but real, she whispered her first word in 2 years, "Daddy." Adrian dropped the folder in his hands, knees buckling as tears flooded his face, and he rushed forward, falling beside his daughter, pulling her into his shaking arms as he whispered, "I'm here. I'm here, sweetheart. I'm right here," and Amelia, overwhelmed but safe, buried her face in his chest, sobbing softly as he held her as if holding his heart for the first time since it had been shattered. Elena stepped back, overwhelmed and crying quietly, realizing she had just witnessed a miracle born not from medical expertise or therapy sessions but from love, patience, and a child's fragile courage finally given permission to breathe again. Adrian, still holding Amelia, looked up at Elena with a gratitude too powerful for words. Years of regret, grief, and longing poured into one silent look, and in that moment he understood what Elena had done for them. She hadn't just helped Amelia speak, she had brought life back into a home that had forgotten how to feel. As Amelia gently reached for Elena, wanting her to stay close, Adrian whispered, "Thank you. You brought my daughter back to me," and Elena, voice trembling, replied, "She just needed someone to believe in her." The three of them stayed together beneath the warm glow of the Christmas tree, wrapped in healing, tears, and hope, proof that even the deepest wounds can find light again when someone refuses to give up. And as the music box melody faded into silence, an entirely new kind of Christmas began for the Kingsley family, one built on love, second chances, and an unforgettable miracle that changed their lives forever. To everyone watching this story, if you want more emotional stories like this, stories of healing, hope, and moments that touch the heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and join our family for more powerful tales that will stay with you long after the video ends.